Marvelous. I'm quite sure all of these many people that's worked on this program for so many years are happy, and I think it's one of the finest things that's happened to Dallas County in many years. I think it'll be very helpful to our economy and the progress of Dallas.
What are the demands of the students?
The demands of the student, number one, is the resignation of Dr. Cole, our currently president here.
Why do you want him to resign?
Well, the reason we want him to resign is really because he's not the president for Wiley College. Ever since he's been here, the college has been steadily going down. Now, he keeps saying about all the new buildings in campus. Well, anyone can build a new building, but our college atmosphere here is really terrible, and the conditions on college is terrible. What really brought this about, well, this has all been simmering on for a number of years. Like we had it in '67 demonstration. We didn't get any results from this demonstration. And then as soon as they dropped the athletic department, football, baseball, and all this, well, then the students really got furious then. So this brought out all our demands. We want a congressional investigation of the financial part of the college, too, because we're receiving federal aid from the federal government, also from the state of Texas, for TOP loans. And we feel that this is being misused because a lot of students, they sign checks and they don't get any money for it, When they sign the check, well, then they come up and say, well, you still owe by $200 or $300. And the check's supposed to cover everything, and we feel that congressional investigation should be considered here at Wiley College.
No, I would say that this is going to be a complete trustee board decision. I would not want to make a statement as to who will be accepted and who will not be accepted. This called a meeting of the executive committee of the Wiley College Trustee Board will discuss these matters and make the necessary plans.
Including the student demands. Will they be considering the demands by the students?
I don't know that. I can only say that the chairman of the trustee board has advised me that a meeting would be called. I cannot say whether or not I cannot say what they will consider at this meeting. I would assume that they will consider everything that relative to this situation.
Well, of course, the principal demand is that you resign or no longer be president, whatever it takes. What is your response to that?
Well, in the event that the trustee board asks for my resignation, I have no alternative but to submit it.
But you do not intend to submit it on your own?
I'd rather reserve a statement on that point.
Over 100 state troopers have been on hand to help local law officers to keep order here. Actually, there has been very little difficulty in keeping order on this campus, but the students nonetheless are very adamant in the demands that they are making, principally that Dr. Cole resign. Whether these students' demands are ever going to be met or not remains to be seen. Even whether Wiley College will be open again remains to be seen. These things probably will be settled to some degree at least when the executive committee of the trustees meet later this week. For Channel 8 News, this is Roger McDonald reporting from Marshall, Texas.
Mr. Eggers, how do you feel about your new appointment?
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled to death. It's one of the great challenges of my life. Last November 5th when I lost, I thought in some ways the world had come to an end, but for everything you lose, you gain something. This is a great gain in my life right here.
It has an awful lot of responsibility. What do you look forward to?
Well, it does, and this is the thing about it is the great challenge in the job. You're in the area of taxes, you're in the area of banking, inflation, and to be the attorney for the Treasury is just like an attorney for the large corporation, your general counsel for it, and you have at a policy-making level. It's a kind of job I'm going to really be able to get my teeth into and enjoy it.
fear that everybody has, is that ultimately your cities are going to be left with a group of people who do not have enough money and tax revenue to support the area they live in. You reopen your cities, and for the mayors like a John Lindsay or Ivan Allen in Atlanta or Jerry Cavanaugh in Detroit, the mayors who have large urban centers who are trying to do a job, the real problem for them is that if there are not sufficient federal funds to enable them to do a job, then all of the things like task force and neighborhood city halls are going to be mere band-aids. The mayors who are trying to change things, who are trying to establish dialogue, find themselves up against the wall, really, because on one side they got people who are demanding change. They're helping lead this fight for change, and at the other side, they don't have the resources to meaningfully affect the change. I think anybody who works for any city government, anywhere, any school administration where you're now having turmoil, has to realize, or has to be aware of the fact that you're not going to prevent the turmoil by just talking to people. You have to be willing to go beyond the discussion and really affect change. I think we have been able to establish dialogue, or a dialogue, with a great many people who felt that the city or the city administration really didn't care about it. I think if we made any mistake, it's been in the assumption that this concept is valid only in lower income communities. I think that the alienation is as great in your middle income communities. The alienation from government is as great in middle income communities as it is in your lower income communities.
We have this letter from Mrs. Roger Dickerson from out in Pleasant Grove to Contact 8, in which she raises this question. Why are we not entitled to ride our horses in the many Dallas parks for which we pay taxes to keep up? Well, Ms. Dickerson, certainly you can ride your horses in Dallas parks. Perhaps your thought that you can't resulted from this particular code provision, Article 32-1, which says it shall be unlawful for any individual or group of individuals to participate in any activity on any public park when such activity will create a danger to the public or may be considered a public nuisance. Now then, Ms. Dickerson, you and I, of course, have discussed this with telephone, and a very pleasant conversation it was. And so long as the horses are ridden in large parks, such as the big park out on Elam Road at Old Seagull Road, certainly there's no objection. Now, that is provided, of course, that the horse is not ridden dangerously into and around a children's play area or into a picnic area where it would create a disturbance to picnickers, or out on a ball diamond where it could either be dangerous to players or injurious to the playing field. As a matter of fact, horseback riding is done in that park out there extensively, not only there, but at White Rock Lake, at North Lake Park, at Mountain Creek Park, and a number of other locations. And I hope that this explanation will clear up this question, because certainly people may ride horses in parks where they do not create a nuisance or endanger someone by so doing.
This was another one of those pleasant days with which Fort Worth has been blessed several times in the last couple of weeks, so we decided we'd do something pleasant like take a walk in the park. Among the items which did make news in our area, the trustees of the school board in Hurst, Euless, Bedford discussed last night the problem of narcotics with high school students, and for that matter with junior high school students, arriving at the conclusion that under the guidance of the Attorney General's office, probably the best thing to do was to punish as severely as possible students who are involved with narcotics. Thus, they elected to expel children from school and to cause them to have no credit for any work they may do during a semester in which they are found guilty of any sort of narcotic offense. The Fort Worth School Board meets tomorrow night. Among the items probably on their meeting will be the consideration of whether to drop ROTC from the Fort Worth school system. This because of apparent lack of interest in the military training courses by most high school students in the Fort Worth school system. Another thing that may well come up at the Fort Worth School Board meeting is, again, the possibility of extended hours for use of the school facilities. As Julius Trulson, the superintendent, has pointed out, this does not mean that students would go to school more hours in the day or that they would be forced to attend classes during hours when they do not want to go to school, but merely would make better use of the facilities which are currently available in the Fort Worth school system. Federal Judge Leo Brewster has granted an indefinite stay of execution to Melvin Stewart Pittman. He was scheduled to die on Friday. He has admitted killing 3 persons. An appeal earlier to district judges was granted no stay of execution, so he appealed to Judge Brewster. Now it is not known when the next hearing will be to find out whether he has a legitimate complaint and whether indeed he should face the death sentence. From the zoo in Fort Worth, Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News.
With the clouds.
Hey, Carl! It's just, all you have to do is go there and take a look. It's pitiful. You can walk in the shower, go in the bathroom or something, water all over the place. You have to mop your way in there, so either swim in or swim out. That's number one thing about the conditions on campus in there. Well, social life also. There's no social life here at all at Wiley College.
What about studies and curriculum?
We have too many foreign instructors here. We can't understand them, they can't understand us. There's the lines of communications cut between the faculty and the student body here. And we want more black instructors, more black courses offered at Wiley College.
When you started all of this, did you intend to go to the point of having to, for the administration, calling in maybe 150 officers to try to keep order or try to move people off the campus and close the college?
Well, when we started this, we thought our president really was a smart man, that he wouldn't have to do this because we haven't had any violence here at all. It's been a peaceful demonstration. And he's showing his ignorance right now by calling in state troopers when they're not needed.